Our equipment's getting so good, and KastKing rods are just unbelievable. In my opinion, my go-to rod is a 6'2", wide eye rod, spinning rod, and I believe I can win any tournament with that rod in my hand.
Hi, Nikki here. This is KastKing on the line with your host, Nikki. Hello, this is KastKing on the line with your host, Nikki. And today we have another great guest. But before we get started, I just want to remind you guys, make sure you go ahead. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and press that subscribe button so that you can follow along, keep up with our shows so that you don't miss any. And if you're listening to this as podcast, make sure you follow along. We're going to be out there on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all over the place. So make sure you look for us, KastKing on the line in the podcast as well. All right, tonight we have a special guest, Mr. John Moreland. John, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Nikki?
Very good. I'm very excited to have you on.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm excited to be on the show too, and share some stuff with KastKing Nation and other people out there. Just give them some basic info on some of our gear and tactics that we use to catch some big walleye.
Absolutely. That's what this is about. And like I said, I'm very excited because John is a walleye fisherman, and I have never been walleye fishing, but it is on my bucket list. It is a beautiful fish. I've heard so much about it, John. And I know for our followers out there that are listening, I'm sure there are a lot of walleye fishermen out there. But I am very excited to dive into this with you. I was so excited about this tonight to have you on because I've been thinking about this. And like I said, walleye fishing is just something I've always wanted to do. But so now tell me, how long have you been doing this? I mean,
I've been doing it pretty much all my life. My dad got me into, walleye fishing, started fishing tournaments. My partner, we fished team tournaments. So my partner is actually my nephew that I fished with. And
oh, great.
2019 to win Colorado for team of the year. So we had a really good year, and, I just love being out there, and they change so much, and, just kind of figuring them out every time you go. It's a challenge. But
that's what the best part of it is, of figuring out what they're biting on, what they want, how to catch them. It's that puzzle, that allure of it that keeps you coming back for more, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, they, depths to speed to, presentations to baits. I mean, it's a lot like bass fishing, except you throw in a whole nother genre of the trolling baits and,
right.
and bait rigs and stuff like that. So there's another weapon in the arsenal to get them to bite. And that's kind of what I want to go over a little bit tonight with you guys, and show you how we do that. So
absolutely. Before we dive into that, I have to ask you now, is this something when you first started this? I mean, where did fishing start from? I mean, were you fishing since a little child? Were you get just a little?
This is when I started fishing with my dad. We'd go, family trips up in the mountains, trout fishing, and then we'd go walleye fishing here local on the Front Range here in Colorado, and a couple of big lake trips here and there. But just been a passion for me my whole life. I mean,
absolutely.
Every time I had a chance to fish, I'd fish. So
sounds like me. Now, was this something you went to school for? Did you go to school for this, or for something else?
I'm actually a Ford mechanic by trade, so I do that, and then just learned by getting around good people that would teach me, and and learning a lot on trial and error on my own part. Actually, I did a lot of bass fishing when I was a kid, where my dad worked at. They had a pond there, and it was a private pond, and it was all to myself. And
so you started as a bass fisherman.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's actually a lot of similarities to bass and walleye. I mean,
is it really?
Yeah. I mean, there's some techniques that we use and time of year that we call it bass fishing for walleye. I mean, we're up in the shallows throwing, big swim baits, and they're there. 2 foot of water, 10-pound fish. They're there.
Absolutely. And now you live out of Colorado, right?
Yep, I live in Colorado.
Oh, it's beautiful there. I've visited Colorado a couple times. I've actually got caught in a blizzard out there in Colorado, driving across country
Yeah,
in my BMW.
Yep, weather that right now that we never want anybody to see. It's middle of January and it was 60 degrees today, probably 50, something like that today.
Now, when you got into how did you get into KastKing? And what do you do for KastKing?
I'm one of their I guess one of their pros here in Colorado. I met Al at our club's banquet. Oh, was it 3 years ago now? Started chatting with Al, and that was when he was starting to build the team together there, and he wanted us on board, and we jumped on board and haven't looked back. It's been unbelievable, especially with Al here local. Just the amount of info that we go back and forth, all the time on the new gear. I'm really kind of spoiled a little bit because Al called me up and say, "Hey, let's go fishing," and all of a sudden we're testing out a new product, and so it's fun. Or I could tell him, hey, I need a rod for this, and he'll look into building it, or he'll explain, try this rod, and it's a blessing that the relationship that me and Al have together. We've actually fished a couple tournaments together. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I'd love to fish with Al. He's a really great guy. I had him on the show a couple weeks back, and it was really great to get to know him and his passion and what makes him as well.
Right. Yeah, it was. I'll have to tell a little story on Al here while we're here. So we were in the hunt in a tournament, one of the tournaments that I fished with him on Sunday. I think we were top 10 on Saturday. Sunday we were in the hunt, and it's total weight over 2 days. The tournaments that we do, and it was early on Sunday morning. He stuck a big fish, and boom, line broke, and it definitely just destroyed his confidence there for a little while.
Yeah.
It was neat to watch him feel them emotions out. You could see where he's like, man, I start to understand these tournament guys. Not that he didn't before, but he experienced it for himself, how that one bite can just really mentally take you out of the game for a little while. And he got back into it, and we fished hard the rest of the day, and I think we ended up top 5 for the tournament, something like that.
Wow.
I can't remember. So
that's awesome.
It was fun. We had fun. We actually got Al his biggest walleye in Colorado. We did that 2 times in 2 weeks pre-fishing for that tournament. So
wow,
something fun to do.
That's what it's about. Fun, I always tell everybody the fish are the bonus. Getting the fish, that's great. Being out there immersed in Mother Nature, being outdoors, having fun, enjoying your time, forgetting the world for just a little while, especially nowadays and the chaos that we live in today. Fishing is really taking a number one spot there, just to get outdoors and just kind of forget the world for a while, and just go out there and enjoy and have fun. And then you catch a fish, that's the bonus right there,
Right. Yeah. Just give your brain some time to relax and
exactly. Yeah. And just right. That's great though, especially getting to fish with Al. That's really great. But walleye fishing. Now, is there anything else that you are interested in or were interested in, or any passions that if you weren't fishing that you'd be into, or that your hobbies or?
Yeah, I ran competitive bird dogs for a while. I had some really good ones. I was fortunate enough to have 2 really good ones that were
bird dogs. Wow.
Top 10 in the nation. And actually, I think probably pictures one of them right there, I think, behind me. So, but yeah, wow. They were fun. I did that for a long time and was very, very successful in it. Competed at national levels and never did win the national with one of mine, but I trained and helped handle 3 national champions. So
really, John, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
wow.
it's kind of fun. It just kind of took up too much time, and we'd run dogs, and then we'd go fishing in the middle and run dogs in the fall. And I just kind of, when my two passed away, I just kind of like, I'm just gonna go fishing. I'm gonna devote all my time into fishing. That's what I did.
That's awesome.
So,
Now, is your family into fishing as well? Are they?
yeah, they do. Both. I have two daughters. One's 17 and one's 13. One's into really big time competitive soccer. But there's a couple little day tournaments that one of the guides put on here in Colorado, and I take them out and fish in little tournaments with them, and we have a lot of fun. They're my best pre-fishing partners that I have.
It's the best.
All the tournaments with me.
And I say it all the time on the show, John. Nothing like being with your family, especially fishing with your family, being outdoors with your family. I have captains that come on that work with their families. And there's just, I always say that is so great and refreshing to see, again, especially nowadays in the world that we live in. Family is just priority. It's number one, and getting to spend time with them, but be able to work with them and fish with them. I mean, that's really great. So it's nice to see that, you know.
Yep. And I take out, any kids that can get in touch with me, or, friends of kids, and, I take them out and go. I mean,
that's awesome, John.
I think a lot of people, when they do take kids fishing these days, that they're more worried about themselves catching a fish than the kids. And when I take a kid fishing, I know I have a bite going, and it is all about them. I drive the boat and let them catch fish one after another.
There is nothing like the expression of a child when they are on a fish, right? There's just nothing like the excitement that they get. I mean, I know that because I'm like that. I'm just like a little kid. Anybody who's fished with me, I get it all the time. I jump up and down. I'm excited. My heart's pounding. I mean, you never really lose that feeling. I know you got to be the same way. A lot of us express it differently. We may not jump up and down. We may not scream and yell like I do. But on the inside, I know that you are. And if you say that you're not, you're lying.
Yeah, I still get excited. There's more to my excitement on, hey, I'm figuring something out, but I still, I feel that dunk on the line, and man, I still get excited, setting that hook and, seeing what it is and how big it is, and, just getting excited, like I said, putting one of the pieces of the puzzle together to figure them out for the day. And
exactly. It's an enigma. It's an enigma, and you're figuring it out and figuring out that puzzle. When it comes together, and it all comes together, and that fish is on the end of the line, I mean, man, there's no other feeling in the world. Especially like we just talked about, having a child and seeing their expression, seeing their excitement, and seeing that light in them light up, and their smile on their face, man, there's just nothing like that in the world. I love it.
Yeah, if I'm in the boat with my two daughters, I usually get delegated to maybe one rod, and they get all the rest of the rods. They're like, nope, these are all ours. You get one. That's it. So
that's awesome, John. So let's dive into walleye fishing. I'm really excited to learn about this. I mean, tell me what I want to get into this. Right. So what do you now? There's obviously different lures.
Different lures. I mean, we'll run. Let me see what I got down here.
Now, for our people that are listening on podcast, John has some stuff to show us. So,
right. So, this is, you might be familiar with a bait similar to that. It's just a swim bait. That's a ripple shad swim bait. So,
swim bait.
Very similar to what, the bass guys throw as a
fly. Oh, yeah. I've thrown those.
Yeah.
For bass.
So, that's one of my favorite baits there. Not the favorite, but that's one of my favorites. We use those, we actually control those. We can actually, throw them shallow, deep off of rock piles, and, just depending on time of the year and the cadence that we work that lure to get the fish to trigger on them. And then we can use anything, something that small. That's only about 1.25 inches lure.
Is that like a square bill or a?
Yeah, it's kind of like a square bill. They call it a salmo. So it's a little bit more rounded bill. but it does give a high wobble like a square bill.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's tiny.
Yeah, it's tiny, and those will catch a 10-pound fish.
Oh my God.
Right time
Wow.
of year.
That's awesome.
And then here's another one. This lure was actually a custom lure that I had painted by a gal here in local in Colorado. Colorado custom lures, and this is, we get the walleye guys get some pretty funky, crazy paint jobs on lures, but they work. I mean, it's for some
It's
reason
that presentation, right? Whatever attracts.
Just something that they haven't seen.
Something different. I always say that.
Yeah. So, actually, can you pause for a second? Let me put a dog up that's laying.
Sure. Hold on once. Go right ahead. Go ahead.
So, and then, here's another different. This is more of a casting lure and jigging lure. It's just that's a number 9 jig and wrap, and that bait will you pop it up off the bottom, and then it'll float and dart back down to the bottom. It works really good in the fall.
Wow. I can't believe how small these lures are.
There's just so many different ways to the presentation for walleye, just like any fish, it's a short hop, a constant roll of a bait, going through the column. But I
Absolutely.
know one of the best ways that trying to figure out how to say it. You can always go out and troll usually and use your electronics and find walleye and catch walleye with crankbaits. So, and that was one of the deals that I actually was the first, I believe in Colorado, to get this reel. And this is the Recon. This is a 2.0. Yeah, this is a 2. So the big deal on this, what people don't understand is if we got a dial here. So as we let line out, it counts in feet. So any of those lures out there, they have a dive chart per se. So for 100 foot of line, now these ain't true numbers, so don't. 100 foot of line, will make this lure dive 10 feet. So we get that constant at 10 feet. The fish are sitting suspended at 12 feet. They come up and hit them. And the big deal about a line counter is being able to reproduce that very fast and not have to hunt around. And we know where that lure is running in the water column.
Wow.
Very, very deadly, very, very, very deadly tool. And you can usually get fish on it all year round.
Now, trolling is a big thing with walleye, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, I do probably 70% casting, 30% trolling. It's all kind of like bass. It's time and place for it.
Right.
Usually it's time of year trolling with walleye when I do it, because I'm trying to target those bigger fish, and that's when the spring and late fall is really good trolling. Not to say that you can't get big fish anytime of trolling, but that's usually the good time to go target big fish trolling with crankbaits. So, and we actually target them probably a little bit deeper than 10 feet with lead core. That's another tactic. So that line is weighted, and we can actually put that one little bait that I showed earlier. I'll show it again. This little salmo that's normally only dive on its own 4 feet with lead line. I can make this bait go down to 30 foot of depth.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
Tiny bait down there. And that's really, really deadly in the spring. Really deadly in the spring. So when they're the big females have already spawned out, they kind of go out deep, and this is my theory on it. They kind of go out a little deep and equalize themselves. And once they have their body back equalized from laying their eggs, they put the feed bag on and they're going shallow, and you catch them moving up and down, and you get anything close to them, they'll eat it. So, but you can target them really easy out there in that 20 to 30 foot depth, and that's how we do it. Well, lead core and knowing how deep that bait runs, and how that line affects that lure and gets it down there. And once you find that sweet spot of they want it at 4 foot off the bottom, once you find that, these recon line counters, you reproduce it every time, and it can be lights out. You can have 50, 60 fish days.
Wow, well, what a help that line counter is, huh?
Right. Yeah, it's good, and that's
it's like another tool. It's another tool in your arsenal.
Yeah, just another tool, and being able to control that, and I actually will run. I'll run them swim baits too on a line counter, and put them at a certain depth, and here we go. I mean, it doesn't matter. There is a chart out there for about any lure made, any weight of lead. You can, the charts are made off of lead. So if you're using a 1 ounce weight, you can dial that 1 ounce weight. It needs to be, say, 60 feet behind the boat at 1.3 mile per hour. 60 feet, it's down 3 feet, we'll say, whatever it is. It's all conversion charts, and there's a ton of that stuff online. You can find how and how deep you want it.
How deep.
And then boom, there you are. You can put any lure where you want it.
That's incredible. John, give me 1 second. We have to have a word from our sponsors here. KastKing offers you affordable innovation through the best fishing tackle, including a wide variety of quality fishing rods, fishing reels, fishing line, and fishing accessories. Look for KastKing products on Amazon.com, Tackle Warehouse, AcademyOutdoors.com, eBay, and of course, KastKing.com. Make the switch to KastKing like so many fishing pros have. And we are back, Mr. John Moreland, who is a great walleye fisherman. And we were just diving into walleye fishing, and John was teaching us some tactics and ways to fish for those walleye, which I am just fascinated with. I had no idea the size of these lures are tiny. They are so small.
We run the gamut from, like I said, an 1.25 inch lure to like a 7-inch swim bait.
Wow.
7-inch swim bait.
I never would have thought that. That's all. That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah, it's just time and place, like any fish, and time and place, and figuring that out. And
right, the puzzle and finding out what they're biting on.
You're right, and they can be really, really picky. You take on about any of the baits that we throw. If you're off by a number 4 flicker shad to a number 5, they might want a number 5 one day and won't eat a number 4, or they won't eat a number 7. They want a number 5, or a swim bait, a paddle tail. They want a 3-inch versus a 2.7. I mean, they're really, really picky, and they won't. Sometimes they won't even.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, you lost your sound there. I said, so they're kind of picky, just like bass.
Yeah, they can be really picky. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you would think, that 1/4 of an inch wouldn't make that big of a difference, but it does. Same color, same lure, same presentation, and nope, I don't want to eat a 2.7 versus a 3-inch bait. I mean, it's crazy, and it's not a little. I don't want it. It's we don't want it. That right size, and oh, look here we go.
Wow, they are really picky. Now, what are the depths that we can find them in water? What are the depths? Are they?
They're a very crazy fish. You can find them up into 1 foot of water, all the way out. In 70 foot of water, suspended 40 feet down.
Wow. How big do they get, John? They get pretty big.
34 inches is some of the bigger fish that I've seen around here in Colorado. You get up on the Great Lakes, there's big numbers of big fish up on the Great Lakes in Green Bay and stuff like that.
Do you do a lot of tournaments? A lot of walleye tournaments? Do you do a lot of walleye tournaments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've fished, well, I've fished tournaments. So I fished my first one about 5 years ago. We ended up having the highest weight ever in Colorado, and it actually, that weight got broken here recently, but we had 22 pounds on 5 fish. So it was a good day. We had a really good day, and that was for one of the guys that it got me into it, more on the more advanced side of learning curve. You know, the little tricks and all that. He was a very, very good teacher. So
It's always nice to learn. I like to be a versatile fisherman, and try to learn different techniques, different ways, even just different kinds of fishing altogether. Like I said, being a walleye fisherman, that's on my bucket list, fishing for walleye, peacock bass fishing, just different, grouper, saltwater, all kinds of, just being a versatile fisherman, learning all different kinds. But yeah, so it's always nice to learn and have somebody to teach you.
right.
Especially somebody like you, for me to learn from you, somebody who's been doing it for years and, doing tournaments and also teaching other people.
Right.
So it's always nice to have that.
Yeah, I mean, I was very, very lucky to, be good friends with that gentleman. And, he introduced me, he stopped professionally walleye, tournament fishing. And he got me with some of his old friends, and now I'm with them, and actually another one of them are, with KastKing, and he's a really good fisherman. He's kind of, now I'm getting the really fine lessons from him, and we're doing pretty good. We had a little bit of a rough year, just mental last year, got in our heads a little bit with everything going on in our jobs, and of course what was going on in the world. But we still fished pretty good last year, but not up to my standard. I'll put it that myself.
I understand that. Now, being from Colorado there, is this you into ice fishing? A lot of ice fishing and
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ice fish for lake trout, trout, walleye also. They're really fun through the ice. Actually,
Really?
I enjoy ice fishing better than boat fishing sometimes. It's more like playing a video game, with the electronics that we have. That's the big thing about walleye fishing, about like any fishing out there anymore. It's the electronics. Is you've got to know your electronics and know what them fish are doing and where they're at and find them. And it's electronics plays a big game. But I actually do have, some rods here, some ice fishing rods. These are actually Al Norker's ice fishing rods he wanted me to show.
Wow.
So I believe this might be the one that you were going to give away on a show.
Yes, it was on our KastKing Fishing Frenzy live show. Yeah.
So, yeah, this is the glass rod. I'm trying not to move it around too fast here. They come in two different ones, and these rods, I think, for the guys that backpack up in to lakes, they actually come with two blanks, and they just slip back together here. I don't know if I might have had that too low. So
it's like having two rods in one.
Right. So this has the medium rod on it, and I can see the guys. There's a lot of guys that'll backpack up into the mountains and fish the little beaver ponds and stuff like that for brookies.
Right.
But every once in a while there's some big rainbows in there. I can see these rods really being great because they come with another blank. So if just one rod, you take one rod up, you basically got two. If the conditions change and you need to go a little bit lighter, because sometimes you ice fishing, those fish just barely bump it. They're there, but they're just barely moving the rod tip. So that's the glass rod. That's the more, I don't want to say cheaper, but the price point one of the two that they're offering now.
I love that. I love that they're offering this. I love that each one comes with two tips, so it's like getting virtually two rods in one.
Right. Yeah, and actually, this was one of the first secrets that Al had shared with me back when I very first started that he was developing ice rods. So, and then here's the IM6 rod here. Both are very nice rods. I mean, great action. I have not been able to fish with one of these yet, but just by feeling them, they're very, very similar in feel to the rods that I use presently. But
Wow.
that'll be definitely on my list to get a couple of these. So yeah, I mean, and ice fishing for walleyes, kind of, the same thing. They're a little bit more pickier during, when they want to feed, and feed heavily. It's usually that first hour of light and the last hour and a half up in, into dark sometimes, with the right moon phase and stuff. You can get
Absolutely.
Again,
all of it comes together as a puzzle, trying to figure them out.
Yep. It's all a puzzle, and they're probably more structure related during ice season than they are they're always structure related, but ice season you definitely want to be on a big sand flat or a rock pile or a rock point or something like that. But the big thing about walleyes is if you catch them in the right places, they're there for a reason and they're gonna bite, and that's what you gotta figure out and learn and know. When they come in to that shallow water, they're only there for one reason, and that's deep. So you find them in that shallower water, as far as it might be 10 foot of water. I'm talking shallow. It might be a transition from 20 foot to 15 foot. It's just that shallower water where they're wanting to feed. And once they're there, you find them, they'll eat more than likely. if you're right stuff, I mean, they're there for a reason, kind of like bass are. When bass are shallow, they're there. They transition up there to eat. They, a lot of times, anyways.
Absolutely. So, now, is there any tournaments or anything you have going on right now, or anything you're getting ready for? Or
right now it's kind of my off time. I might do a couple little ice tournaments, maybe take my girls out to an ice fishing tournament or two. But I usually take this time of year and I unload the boat, all the gear out of the boat, go back through all the gear, get everything back organized. The little tweaks that I do to my lures, get those done while I'm sitting here at home. I actually tie some of my own bait rigs, so I do that. Just kind of get everything going and ready for this spring. Come, depending on the ice, is when they'll open the lakes, and we're having a little warm winter this year, so I think the lakes are going to open up pretty quick here in Colorado. Probably February. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't let us on the water.
I know you're just waiting for that. I know that. I can imagine.
It's not very often. It's usually March when they let us on, but it wouldn't surprise me if we don't lose ice here with this weather we're having. We're having real high winds and warmer days, and that just tears the ice up like you wouldn't believe, and makes it unsafe, and it'll rip it off. I've seen lakes get 3 inches of ice just shredded and gone in a day's time with that kind of weather. So we'll just keep an eye on it and see. I think I might try to do some ice fishing tomorrow with some friends. I haven't quite decided yet, but we'll see. So.
I've never been ice fishing either, so I'd have to come up ice fish and walleye fish at the same time with you. Kill two birds with one stone. I'll learn how to walleye fish, ice fish from the master himself. That'd be great.
There's some really good lakes here, some close to my house that are really good ice fishing lakes for walleye, and there's one that's got really big yellow perch in it and walleye, and that's probably my favorite lake to go ice fish. Because it just keeps you busy all day. You can move around and you can find those other species of fish. When the walleye are inactive, you can still catch fish pretty much all day long, So
exactly.
It's a fun day, especially with the girls if the girls are with me.
Again, family, there's just nothing like that. Bring your daughters, and having them learn from you. And I mean, that's really great though, just, and I'm sure you learn from them too.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot.
You teach each other, but it's just nice to be with family and to be able to do that and enjoy something together like that.
Right. Yeah. They're troopers. Had some friends over today. We were doing a little housework, doing some remodeling in the house, and we were talking about my oldest. Just her patience is unbelievable and it's always been that way. I can put her out in the boat with me, and on a rough day fishing um, when we're trying to. A lot of times we go out to pre-fish tournament and it's okay. We've got to try this. It's probably not working, but we've got to try that and take that out of play for the tournament. And she's one of the best, but she also knows, that. And when I take her, then I know we can go catch fish at a certain time during the day. But let's try this. We spent pre-fishing for the championship that I got second in. We spent, we were trolling cranks, and I just had to do it just to see if we could get that big bonus fish. And we spent 4 hours doing it and didn't get a bite. And then it's like, all right, well, now it's thank you for your patience. And we went off and we probably caught 30 fish in an hour between the two of us. And she whipped my butt pretty good.
Isn't that the way? Isn't that the way?
Yep.
Oh, that's great, John.
Yep. So we have a lot of fun. Like I said, my two daughters, they pre-fish a ton of tournaments for me and with me. We just go out and have fun. But I'm collecting knowledge is when I'm having fun with my knowledge. I'm collecting, figuring out the lake and what they're wanting, and when we get it all figured out, and and they know that I can put something in their hand that they'll catch fish with, and that's the big thing is they trust and believe in me, and they have that believe in that whatever I'm telling them or showing them that they know if I do
it's going to work.
It'll work. And so
patience is a virtue.
Patience and and believing in the bait that you're using. That's a big thing. Just any kind of fishing that you're doing, it's you got to believe in your presentation and what you're doing.
I believe in that 100%.
Feel it if you don't.
Right there, and there's a thing to that. Honestly, I'm speaking from being a bass fisherman. You go out there and you don't have confidence. You're out there and you not have confidence in the reel or the rod that you're fishing or the lure that you're fishing, and you're just out there kind of moping around. You're not going to catch fish. You're just not. I mean, I know that from experience. But if you go out there confidently, I'm going to catch fish today, and you're confident in that rod and that reel that you're using, you're confident in your day and that lure, in the body of water, whatever you're doing, you're confident that day. You're most likely you're going to catch a fish. It just works that way. I mean, confidence is key. Patience is another.
That's huge in tournaments. I mean, a lot of the top guys, I've met Dylan Nussbaum. He come out to the Sportsman show when I was working KastKing, and he's like, he was the youngest person ever to win the national championship. I mean, he's like, I visioned that, I was going to win that tournament. So I envisioned it, and just that's all I thought. Didn't think it was going to fail. I just pre-fishing, I visioned I was going to win it, and it came true.
Yeah, it works.
Confidence. There's such a mental game to it.
It really is.
Very, very fast, and things fall apart once you lose that mental game of it. Tournament fishing, I mean, it's not good.
No. I mean, I honestly know that from experience. I went out. I fished I don't know if you heard the Big Bass World Championship. I went and fished that. It was 26 degrees in Oklahoma. It was raining, pouring, John. I mean, pouring. We're freezing cold. I'm bundled up, 26 degrees, pouring rain. I'm out there and I'm thinking, and the mental game just went right downhill. I'm like, I'm not going to catch fish today. I'm just not going to catch fish. And you know what, John? I didn't even catch a single fish that day. It just, that mental, it really gets you. There's just something to it.
Yeah. And, and that's, and the equipment's getting so good, that we call it, like the prince of a fish around our equipment's getting so good, and KastKing rods are just unbelievable. In my opinion, my go-to rod is a 6'2", wide eye rod, spinning rod. and I believe I can win any tournament with that rod in my hand. And back to what I was saying about the fish presence, sometimes our rods are getting so good I can feel when there's a fish around that bait. Whether they tailed at it or swirled at it, I can feel that, and it's just one of them deals. But that being said, with our rods getting so good in our line and everything, can the fish feel it when we're nervous? Did we put off
Yes.
some kind of little nuance that they, okay, that's not right, that's not natural? So,
I honestly believe in that.
yep. So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I've fished. I don't know how many walleye I've caught over the years, but you know, it's not uncommon to go catch 50 a day here in Colorado with the right conditions when you're on them, and it can be crazy. It's one of them deals that a lot of people don't think we can do that, and come get in the boat with me. We'll show you we can do it.
I love that attitude, John. That's great. That's great.
It's just one of them fish that people, you've got to understand them and kind of study their habits and what they do to really catch them good. And it's fun. Not to pick on bass fishermen, but I think it's just one notch above a bass fisherman.
That's all right. That's all right, John. That's great.
They're fun though too. I spent a ton of time down there, actually pretty close to where Brett Chapman's at, where he lives, and spent a ton. I got family down there, and I spent a lot of time growing up bass fishing the ponds and stuff down there. I still got a lot of family down there. We go have a lot of fun down there. So
and fun. That's the key. Just going out and having fun.
Right.
Another thing to the confidence, if you're not having fun and enjoying it, then what are you doing out there? I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it all comes together, whether it's just a fun day with my daughters or we just put a fish and, just stuck we know a fish that just won the tournament for us. It's the same feeling for me every time. I mean, it's just fun. I mean, and if it ever becomes a job or it's not fun, then it's probably time to quit. It's got to be a passion at anything. I believe it's got to be a passion to excel in anything you want to do in your life. It's got to be a passion. It's nothing there ain't nothing monetary that will drive you how you need to be drove to excel besides the passion, what you want to do and how you feel about it. I mean, that's,
exactly.
Catch as many as you can, and, it's figure them out. I mean, that's my passion, figuring them out. So.
And you said it, passion. Yep. John, I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight and explaining walleye fishing and explaining your passion with us and sharing that with us. It means a lot.
Yeah. Anytime, maybe we can get maybe some water footage at a later date, out on the boat and putting these tactics to work. And
that'd be amazing. Oh, that'd be great to go out on the boat, do a show and, catch a walleye while doing that. Oh, you just got me excited, John.
Yep,
that'd be great.
I do know there's some products coming from Al that there's one that I'm the first one ever to catch a fish on this new product, and it's going to change the fishing industry again. KastKing is going to change it again.
You can't tell us, can you?
No, I cannot tell you.
John, you're killing me.
It's very, very close. I think it'll probably roll out in the next month or two. It'll be.
I can't wait.
We'll see who let Al let the chicken out of the bag with that. Who let that chicken out of the bag with? But yeah. So I mean, that's pretty cool. Like I said, back to that. Me and Al just, he is who he is, but we also, me and him have become really good friends, and it was an honor, and we didn't even realize it at the time. It was us. We knew what we were doing. and we were testing that product, and we load the boat up, and he's like, you were the first one to ever catch a fish on this and I'm like, well, that's kind of cool, actually. It's going to go a big national product, so.
That's great.
But that's back to just having fun. Me and him went out and had fun,
That's what it's about.
It was about like your Oklahoma bass day. It was probably about 28 degrees.
Oh, man, those cold days. I tell you, you got to really love fishing.
Right. So.
That's how you know you're a real fisherman, and you're out there in that freezing cold and
right.
out there to catch a fish.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, is there any questions that you have or anything that you would want me to?
Oh, that's is there any social media sites that you want people to follow you on, John? You want to mention your?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I think you can probably just search my name, John Moreland, and find me, and give me a follow. And if anybody's out there, that's one thing that I always do. Any local people, or if I'm traveling and you see me, and I've got product with me, you want to see it, feel it, whatever, come ask me. I'll put any rod that I have in my boat in your hands, let you try them, let you figure them out, see what you think of them. That's just me. It's no big deal to me.
That's great, John. Thank you again so much. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show tonight and sharing your knowledge of walleye fishing and what you do with us. Again, it really meant a lot.
Yeah, and, no problem. Thanks for
I can't wait to get out there and fish with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, and back to, anybody that does follow me or whoever, it doesn't matter to me, if they have a question, about a product or a technique or anything, feel free to message me on Instagram or Facebook and see if we can work it out for you. See if we can get you to catch more fish.
Great, John. Thank you again so much for joining us tonight. And KastKing spells affordable innovation. Make the switch to KastKing for the best value in fishing gear. KastKing offers you an affordable, quality alternative to high-priced fishing products. Thanks for spending time today with KastKing on the Line. This is Nikki. And as always, keep grinding, stay strong, always stay humble, and always keep on fishing. I'll catch you guys in the next adventure. Thanks a lot, John.
No problem. Thank you.
We'll talk to you again.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Subscribe to the KastKing YouTube channel too. Learn new fishing tips and fishing hacks. Watch how-to fishing videos and fishing gear comparisons. See new KastKing fishing tackle reviews. Hear interviews with fishing personalities. Enjoy a constant flow of new content from the KastKing Pro team. Don't miss announcements about these topics. Subscribe now to youtube.com/KastKing. Click the subscribe button below.